What is going on, my Super Sandwiches? Rhymestyle here, and today we're bringing some more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 news, and we have another interview that popped up this morning. Well, it popped up, I think, last night or something like that, with RPG Site and the producer of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Hirano-san. So without further ado, I'm going to go over the important questions that were asked in this interview, but if you want to read the whole thing, I will link that in the description below. So the first question I want to highlight is, how are you guys looking to mitigate spam this time? Because you guys remember, Xenoverse 1 had a lot of issues with spam, the whole Super Saiyan thing, everyone just throwing death balls back and forth when the game came out. It was kind of a mess. To which Hirano-san responded, we're working to include several elements. One of the things we wanted to concentrate on this time is because people are playing online, some specific attacks were stronger than others. When an avatar was fighting another avatar, custom created characters, they're basically using the same attacks over and over again, and we don't want that to happen this time. We're really focused on balancing out attacks and adjusting so that in the end players will be using different attacks. So I don't really know what that means, but it's important to see that they are focused on figure out an issue to deal with spam, because we all can agree with this that spam was a huge issue with Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, and I am looking forward to see what kind of systems they've implemented to stop that in the next game. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me it sounds like Super Saiyan will no longer have infinite ki, thus you can't spam, because from the sounds of it, Bandai Namco and Dimps and Hirano and the entire team over there, they're aware of how bad spam was in the last game, and it wouldn't make sense for them to bring Super Saiyan ki, infinite ki back and allow you to spam essentially, unless they just completely change the whole key system altogether and you just can't be spamming with super attacks in general. So we'll find out what happens when we get revelations of how that works, but for now it's cool to see that the team is anti-spam and they're working to reduce it in the next game. Now this next question is extremely important, and hopefully it answers the long waited questions of whether or not clothes will affect stats in the next game, because you guys remember, we all wanted to choose certain clothes, but because of our stats we're kind of limited to what we can and can't pick. But that said, the next question that was asked was, what sort of customization can we expect this time with character creation tools? To which Hirano says, in terms of customizations, we have a lot more volume, such as more costumes, more features as well. In terms of costumes, there were more popular costumes than others, and we are here. And when you're here choosing a costume, you want to choose it because you want it to look like that. So we're adding new features that players can be strong while choosing the costume that they like. So from the sounds of it, they are going to figure out a way to basically let you choose what you want to wear without having to worry about stats. Because like I said, the one problem that Xenoverse had, well, one of the many problems, but one of the problems that Xenoverse had was you really just didn't have freedom of choosing the clothes you wanted to choose, just because if you wear certain things, it reduces your stats, and the last thing you want to do is go into a battle with reduced stats. So again, when we get more details on this, I'll let you guys know what this actually means, but for now, this is, again, a good step in the right direction. Now, this next question has already been addressed before in the past week or two, but I want to toss in here again just in case you missed it. Dragon Ball Super. The question was, can we expect any characters from Dragon Ball Super? To which Hirano says, we can't go into details, but since Dragon Ball Super is an ongoing anime, it does take several months to create just one character. We don't know to what extent we'll be able to do this, but we do have a feeling that we do want to include characters. Maybe at the timing of release, or it might be after the release, we hope to include those characters. And as I said before, Bandai Namco is very open listening to the characters that we want to see in the game, so I'm very confident we'll probably see Dragon Ball Super at some point via DLC or free updates or something, so keep an eye for that. And of course, when I get news on that, I will let you guys know as well. Now, this next question is going to make a lot of you guys happy, and of course, it has to do with RNG. If you guys remember, RNG, or the drop rate essentially, in Xenoverse 1 was awful. Like, trying to farm that one super attack or that one clothing piece was just the worst. The question was, in the first game, one of the biggest user complaints was the RNG factor. Will RNG be more lenient or replaced with something more different in the sequel? To which Hirano says, with regard to modification and adjustments, we are making a lot of these based on user feedback. The bottom line is we made it easier to acquire costumes or maybe items that drop during the battle. It's because we want players to be able to move on to online matching. We don't want them to not just go there because they don't want to have specific items. So from the sounds of it, they are going to make RNG a lot better, whether it be based on, I guess, skill or how well you do the mission, but it's going to be a lot easier to get items this time and attacks. So that's really exciting stuff. If you're hyped for that, make sure you punch that like button twice as hard, right in the face. Just don't break your computer. Now, this next question is a bit more cryptic, and of course, when it comes down to campaign stuff, story mode, and on top of that, just real information in general, they've been very much secretive about a lot of stuff. The question was, I wanted to ask about the story. So we saw in the first trailer, the teaser trailer, a certain message that sort of suggests that players will be able to go back to certain events in Dragon Ball history and maybe change it to different outcomes. To which Hirano says, the only thing I will say right now is maybe you'll be able to change events. We can't say for sure yet. We want players to feel the inner conflict because their mission is to return the history back to normal. But there are outcomes in Dragon Ball story you wish were different, and we want players to feel the inner conflict between what they have to do and what they want to do. So again, that makes me believe that we have possibilities of doing things like saving Gohan so he doesn't die from the androids, or just altogether different things. And I'm excited to see how that affects the timeline, like what will happen to the timeline in general when you change it, because it's a huge change. big change. I mean, you saw what happened when Trunks went back in time and told everybody about the androids. It's a whole new timeline. So with that said, I'm curious to know what they cooked up for us in the story, but of course, we won't know until we play the game, so I guess I'll have to wait a couple more months to see what's going to happen in Xenoverse 2. Now, the final piece of this interview is extremely important. I already covered 2 of these key features in yesterday's video, where I basically told you that there is a way to what's called a burst dash or reverse dash, which stops runners, and the other feature is stamina break, which basically allows you to break someone's stamina and then really jump into combos. But the reason I wanted to highlight this portion of this interview from this other interview, I guess, is because the question also talked about PvP in general. Will there be any adjustments to the PvP system? To which Hirano says, we've modified the network stability so there won't be as much lag when you're fighting worldwide against other players. Thank God. Hit detection, man. Hit detection. We have received a lot of feedback from fans in terms of battle. For example, the combos players that were able to do so many combos, it wasn't because they weren't there, but because the opponent was able to easily dodge and move around. So this is just talking about the stamina break stuff. In order to avoid that, we've implemented a new feature called Stamina Break, where you can hit a specific attack against an opponent. They'll lose their stamina, so they won't be able to avoid your attack during that combo. Yada, 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 yada. So essentially, I mean, this is the same thing I talked about yesterday, but essentially, they basically mentioned that they did work on the hit detection stuff, so it's going to be a lot better. But again, until we played ourselves and tested it, we can't really confirm how different it's going to be. But either way, this is exciting stuff. This company, Dims, Bandai Namco, they are truly listening, and the more I hear about this game, the more I'm hyped, and the more I just want to play it. So with that said, who is hyped? If you're hyped for Xenoverse 2, make sure you leave a like rating below, and if you have any questions, comments, feedback about any of this stuff, feel free to drop a comment. But for now, back to waiting, folks. We are back to waiting and just refreshing the news sites until we get more stuff. But hey, if you subscribe to me, I will keep you guys in the loop with all the Xenoverse 2 stuff. So don't be that person that doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, subscribe. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Rhymestyle, and I'll see all you awesome super sandwiches in the comment section below. Peace.